Hun, why don't you have a little drinky poo? And there we go. Whoop, there it is. That's what I'm looking for. That's what I'm looking for.
What do you want me?
Hun, just calm down. I can say that because we are starting fresh, and I have to let folks in chat know. First, chat's got to get caught up with us, and then once chat gets caught up with us, then we will go on ahead and we will put it to a vote for chat.
Okay.
We'll put it to a vote for chat.
Headphones and this microphone, right?
Well, no, we're gonna change seats.
Oh, okay. So
I don't want to make this any more complicated than what it
No.
is.
Okay. I thought you were doing a shared desk kind of thing. But...
No. We're not doing a shared desk. Because that would mean like an extra amount of setup and things like that.
Okay.
So okay. So basically, hi everybody. Now the camera is going to be here, just so you know, and I'm just going to leave it at intermission. So I'm going to give it a few more minutes so that people can
come back.
So that people can come back because right now it's there we go. Oh, how much does $1 give? Oh, that's a great question. How much does $1 give food wise again? That's 10 meals. 10 meals. And right now we are sitting at $530.
Yes, that's so great.
I know that's 5,300 meals. 5,300 meals.
You guys are
No, unicorn. $1 is 10 meals.
No.
$1 is 10 meals.
Oh, okay.
So a dollar is 10 meals. The first incentive that we offer is $5, and that is 50 meals. Right now we have made we have actually created for a total of 5,300 meals at $530.
That's really
which
cool.
is really amazing.
So what are we going to read?
All right, so let's talk a little bit. Oh, you were joking. Yeah, I'm trying not to. I'm trying. Just so you know, Unicorn, I'm trying to not joke around with that sort of thing because I don't want to make this any more complicated than what it is. I feel bad that Gunny actually made a $55 donation, but he did it as a tip to me, and I don't know how to cancel a tip.
We can just make a donation.
Yeah, we can make a donation on your behalf. We can do that, Gunny. I can go ahead and do that. That won't be a problem at all. I'll do that in your name. That's actually a great idea.
Yeah.
So, Gunny, I will go on ahead. Actually, I will do that right now. Let's go to. Well, first, let's do this. Let's go to. So, in the future, Gunny, just so you know, in case you're whenever you see someone that's running a charity stream and it says charity in the title, then go on ahead and just type that command in like I did, and then it should give you a charity link. And the reason why we have a separate charity link from anything else is that I don't want money touching my hands. It goes straight to the. So I will do this real quick. I will go on ahead and I will drop in. That's Pippin T. The donation amount. Gunny dropped in $55, so I will also drop in $55. Oops. 500. Okay. Team Monster, the comment will be on behalf of Gun Guy, GUNNGUY _ 1966. You're broke, and you know what, Gun Guy, you are broke, but Gunny, the good news is, not only are you broke, but you just fed kids 550 meals. So, not too shabby.
That's amazing.
So on behalf of Gun Guy 1966. Yep. And I will donate. I'll make that PayPal. It's also a great way to double check the alerts to make sure the alerts are working for intermission. No need to ship it. Just say, do that.
Send the money.
Donation processing. And return to campaign. Boom.
Just like that.
Just like that.
So that
580.
actually pushed out.
That pushes us up to 585. Pushes us up to 585.
Nice.
585.
You guys are amazing.
So that is not too bad at all.
I will
Okay.
happily read for these amazing
Yes.
people.
All right. So there it is. So on behalf of Gun Guy 1966, I've donated $55 to NoKidHungry.org. Thank you again for that tip, Gun Guy. I do appreciate it. But yeah, next time make sure you do a command charity, and that should give you the link that you see here. Okay, so how is this going to work? Because wow, we actually made it to an incentive.
So what was the incentive? What did you say? The incentive.
The original incentive was that at at $500 I would read a short story, but I wanted to sweeten the pot since it was Flip Us Freaky Friday, which we proved that yes, you raise more money in a smaller amount of time than I raise. So there you have it. There you have it.
So
but
we're gonna read them from books. From the
we have a list. We have a list of incentives. So let me go on ahead and let me pull up the incentives list so that we have it as well. Now, some of the stories that we can that I can choose from to read. I'm gonna go ahead and I will offer three short stories to choose from. And I'm gonna go on ahead and drop in the votes.
We could
here.
do half and half. We could read half of the story, and I could read half of the story.
Do you want to do that? You want
Yeah,
to do
just
it
for
that way?
our voices as well.
All right. So the so choice number one will be all right. Since it's the two of us doing it, then let's do this. Let's see. All right. There's the first one. Tag team. Oh, Gun Guy said tag team it. And thank you again, Gun Guy. Just want to make sure that you heard me say it again. I made a donation of $55 on your behalf because you sent it in as a tip. So so there you go. All right. So let's see. Silver Linings. Number 2 will be.
Little dude. Little purring dude. Gamer Kitty is so cute.
And then number 3, which will be. Oh, let's do it. Actually, no. I want to do this one. All right. Okay, so. Can't wait to read Cradle of Love and Fire. Well, Claire, we will get that out to you in your email as a PDF, so you should be able to read it on any device. But right now, we are going to offer these 3 stories, and chat will vote for one. Let me go on ahead and let me first give you a brief description of each before you start voting. And the way you vote is you just drop in into chat 1, 2, or 3, and then we'll figure out the votes from there. All right. So the first one is called Silver Linings. Silver Linings was actually a short story inspired by. Thank you, Gun Guy. Toss a coin to your Team Monster for the kidlings. Silver Linings was actually inspired by one of our priests at our church. This is Egyptian steampunk. That's the best way I can.
And it appeared in
Clockwork Cairo. It appeared in Clockwork Cairo, and it is one of the free short stories that you can. Free. I keep saying free. It's one of the short stories you can get either when you donate $5 or $25, and it is set in Egypt, and it involves the original silver that Pontius Pilate was paid.
No.
Judas. I'm sorry, Judas. I always get those two mixed up. Hang on, unicorn. Hang on. That they get. Sorry, hang on a minute. So I lost my train of thought.
Judas got paid.
Judas got paid in silver, and the peculiar occurrence is based around the silver that Judas was paid for his betrayal of Jesus Christ. This was an idea that was given to us by one of our priests during one of his sermons. And I turned to Pip and I said, I have an idea for a story. And Silver Linings was
actually a very popular short story.
It's a very popular short story.
One of our more popular
Very
short
popular.
stories.
Okay, then there's number 2, The Fault in Our Stars. This appears exclusively in the print edition of Books and Brawn. It is not available as a $5 or $25 short story because it's exclusive in the print edition. And The Fault in Our Stars, and please note the spelling of fault, F-A-W-L-T. We basically do a steampunk Fawlty Towers.
If you love British humor.
If you loved Fawlty Towers, if you loved John Cleese, if you loved that series, that's The Fault in Our Stars.
It's our love letter to.
It's our love. It's our love letter to John Cleese and Connie Booth. Then you got let's see. Then you have short story number 3, In the Spirit of Christmas. It was our very first Christmas special. It has also been one of our widely syndicated of all of the Christmas specials we've ever done. Probably also of the short stories as well, because we self-pubbed it. We published it as a podcast, and then Bain Books reached out to us, and they reprinted it in A Cosmic Christmas to You, Volume 2. And In the Spirit of Christmas is a retelling of the end of A Christmas Carol involving our characters, Books and Brawn. So you now have a breakdown of these 3 short stories: Silver Linings, Fault in Our Stars, and The Spirit of Christmas.
So vote.
So, chat, you can now go on and vote.
1, 2, or 3.
1, 2, or 3. Go on ahead and put your answers in chat. 1, 2, or 3. And I will go on ahead.
Give them a minute to think about it.
I'll put on some voting music. I'll go on ahead and play this.
Have you got voting music?
It's The Who. Oh, but I just realized something. If we play too much of The Who, it'll take out the audio. So I won't do that.
Just show the book cover again. I love that book cover. We had that designed for ourselves. I like it. It's got
this is Books and Brawn. All right.
I like the fact that we put that together.
Gonna go ahead and give it one more. Give it one more. Right now, the clear leader is 2.
Fault in Our Stars.
Fault in Our Stars. This is 2.
Give it another few.
I'm gonna give it a few more minutes. Again, Silver Linings, which is an idea given to us by our priest.
Egyptian steampunk.
It's Egyptian steampunk, and the peculiar occurrence involves the silver that Judas was paid with to portray Jesus Christ. That's the mystery / peculiar occurrence around it. Fault in Our Stars, which is a love letter. It's a love letter to Fawlty Towers.
Is that in Torquay? It is Torquay.
And then
That's not a spoiler.
That's not really a spoiler. Let's see. And then finally, In the Spirit of Christmas, which is a retelling of the ending of A Christmas Carol, but done with our characters, Books and Brawn. So right now we are sitting. Right now, there have been no other votes given except for number 2.
It's a classic.
This could be a landslide. This could be a landslide, everybody. So here we go. Again.
Did we even podcast that?
No, it was completely an exclusive for this book. It was an exclusive for this book. And again, what will happen is that Pip, I will read part of it, then Pip will read part of it.
Are we going to do the Eliza Wellington hustle? You read it. You read Wellington. I read Eliza.
Oh no! We'll I won't do my bad accent if that's what you're worried.
No.
I'm not going to do that.
Are you going to read the bit where it's from his point of view? And
no, we can. I mean, You're making this way more complicated than I am.
Just do it how you want to
let's keep it simple, everybody. Let's keep it simple, baby. Again, vote 1 for Silver Linings, 2 for The Fault in Our Stars, or 3 In the Spirit of Christmas. I'm preparing it because I think right now no one else has cast votes for anything else.
Fault in Our Stars is quite fun.
Yeah. And thank you, everybody. Because of all of you, and feel free if you want to donate while we're reading, you can do that too. But because of all the donations, because of all everything, we started off this morning. We started off this morning at just around $225.
Wow, really?
We started this morning at just around $225, and
everyone's
I'm sorry. We started this morning at about $300. We started this morning at $300, and we have now we're now $15 away from $600. So I'm pretty stoked. I'm pretty stoked about that. When this song ends, I will close voting. It's okay, Unicorn. You can always catch on a replay. But thank you, everybody. Thank you all so much for the support you've been showing this stream. We are at $585 right now.
Oh wow.
$585, which equates again to 5,850 meals that we have made possible for kids.
No small thing.
It's a good thing, everybody. It's a good thing. Gaming for good, as I like to call it. We're gaming for good. I'm like I said, I'm pretty stoked about that. I just realized. Can I do this? Let's see here. There we go. Just fine tuning here. Oh, so you're not going to stick around for the reading gun guy? I mean, I can understand.
You can catch it in the replays.
But you can always catch it in the replay. Thank you, gun guy. Have a good night. Have a good night, and thank you for the donation again. Thank you very much for the donation. You did your part, and I appreciate it. Oh, you were invited to play. Well, far be it from me. Far be it from me to stand in the way of that. We just got another donation. We're now at $600.
Woo-hoo!
We're now at $600.
Meals.
And it just said loving chat. Loving chat. Wow, thank you very much.
Everyone's on it tonight.
I tell you, everybody is on it. And that was chat wants kids to be fed.
Aww.
It looks like it's an anonymous vote too, because it just says loving chat. So thank you very much. Thank you, whoever you are, thank you very much. Thank you very, very, very much. All right, 600. I play it like you played Destiny 2. Well, okay. Well, then I'll give you that. 600 hype. How about that? All right. I think the song is coming to an end. Yep. So the clear winner for just so people know what the milestones are. Yeah. Take care, gun guy.
Good night.
Good night. Just so y'all can see it. So here are the different milestones for this charity that are happening right now. And tonight's milestone we actually reached. We reached it before 10 o'clock, and you guys just kept the money train going. But at $500, chat chooses a short story for me to read. But because I made it clear that Pip and I were here together, it's going to be the two of us.
Just the two of us.
And Nick just said he has edited his story for the ministry. He will resend it to Pip.
Please do. Because in this time where we've got lots of time.
This is the best time for us to do it. All right, everyone. So this story It exclusively appears in the print edition, and only the print edition of this book right here, the Books and Brawn Dossier. It is available. Wherever books are sold, but
particularly on Amazon.
Right now on Amazon, particularly, and if I remember correctly, if you do new book, or did I take that one out? I think I took that command out. Wasn't sure if I left that command in or not. But basically, this book is available on Amazon, and only in print will you find this particular story. This particular story is called "The Fault in Our Stars," and here we go.
Do the voices.
Torquay, England, late fall, 1895. Are you sure this is the place? Wellington stared up at the hotel, one eyebrow crooked, the nasty feeling that had been developing in the pit of his stomach and leaving London growing worse on an exponential scale. Eliza fished the slip of paper she had written up that morning before boarding the train. A frown creased her brow. The Imperial Turrets Hotel. Both of them turned their eyes to the spread of buildings, painted white, which occupied the top of the hill. The view down to the coast of Torquay might be impressive, but this hotel sprawling before them was most certainly not. Paint peeled from every surface, the crooked roofline promised leaks, and the brick wall at the front leaned. Hardly an advertisement for the builder's skill. The main house stood so lone here that one might have almost thought that the other buildings were embarrassed to be next to it. Look at that, Miss Braun, he said with a grumble. Even the letters can't quite bring themselves to stay. The word hotel hung from the H off the end of the sign. Perhaps an unhappy guest took their feelings out on it, Eliza replied, her gaze drawing together. Look, Welly, often our business isn't as glamorous as some might think. Wellington pressed his lips together. Since the whole Phoenix Society hullabaloo, he found himself lured away more frequently from his precious archives, and he wasn't entirely happy about that. This might be all part of a grand plan by the formidable and still unsettlingly alluring Miss Eliza D. Braun, to make his life more miserable, or to indulge her far greater calling as a field agent. She was actually starting to get a grasp on the archives, but Wellington was deeply regretting his revealing of cold cases to her. Getting dragged to Torquay in the middle of a gray autumnal day wasn't how he might have imagined a life of intrigue and adventure might go. This place was a far cry from the palatial estate of Devereux Havelock, but this was where Agent Horatio Turkingsdale investigation had ended abruptly on a series of brutal murders. The Queen herself assigned the ministry to investigate these disappearances, but sadly the trail got cold here. Dismal as this place seemed on their outside, Wellington did not find it at all surprising that Turkingsdale had in fact resigned his investigation here. This place seemed to be nothing more than a place for things to end. Hamlet's Denmark would be a welcoming holiday spot in comparison to this place. Cunningham, then? A voice cut through the silence. The gangly man wore an ugly green tweed suit that almost made him blend in with the creeping ivy behind him. If Wellington did not know any better, he would swear he'd been waiting there for hours just for them. He was very lucky not to have gotten shot on the spot by Miss Braun. She paused and took a breath. We were having a little discussion before. Well, I can't hold the door open all day, the man barked from under his bristling mustache, though it was notable he wasn't actually doing any such thing. Either come inside or be on your way. Thank you very much. Wellington noted Eliza's hand clenching into a fist, a sign that he had learned in their scant few months together that an intervention was in the offering. Taking hold of the door, he opened it for his fake wife to stomp through. But with a quick huff of disdain and one final drag from a cigarette he'd apparently been hiding behind his back, the dreadfully rude guest stepped through the doorway, muttering something about why he even bothers and the decline of sophisticated society as he made his way to the front desk. Wellington did not have to look back at Eliza to know his partner was about to erupt like Vesuvius. Once inside the hotel, the atmosphere changed from dismal to downright depressing. Carpet the color of algae matched dull brown patterned walls. A large grandfather clock with no discernible movement stood opposite the front desk, behind which leaned the proprietor, a middle-aged woman with an impressively styled pile of gray hair and dressed in deep plum dress, read a newspaper spread out before her. Above her head, a dreary-looking sign read, "Bernard and Sylvia Sunder, proprietors," hung, in desperate need of dusting. "Guests have arrived, dear." Oh, sorry, let me try that again. "Guests have arrived, dear," she said in a tone dripping with condensation. She never looked up from the paper. "Yes, Sylvia, guests have arrived," the rude man snapped, and Wellington broke into a sweat as he watched this curt, crass, radish excuse for an Englishman take a place behind the front desk. "But please, do not tear yourself away from whatever pressing matter you are tending to. I have no doubt it is more important than the well-being of a potential source of revenue." "Are you sure we have a room?" Sylvia asked, turning to the page of what had been riveting journalism under her fingertips. "Consider the weekend. Consider the bills we have to pay, which only happen to be paying customers, not the overprivileged snobs that are currently drinking and eating away at our profits. Let me handle the reservations this weekend, if you please." With incredible alacrity, the man's tone switched from sheer contempt to spit-polished veneer of hospitality. "Hello, welcome to Imperial Turrets. Are you interested in a room or perhaps our honeymoon suite?" Wellington started to answer, but flinched when the woman reading the paper exploded into something of a low cackle that ended with an even lower guttural gasp. The man, Bernard Sunder, Wellington surmised, stood there, stoic. "We were hoping for a room, yes," Wellington began. "Nothing fancy as we are simply—" "Yes, the Seaview suite it is, then," Bernard cut in, making a note. "Luggage?" Eliza motioned to the two bags on either side of them. "In plain sight, mate." Bernard's eyebrows raised slightly. "Ah, a colonial." Through clenched teeth, he added, "How delightful." The jarring laugh from Sylvia made Eliza flinch again. "I know that may sound like someone taking a Gatling gun to a seal, but never you mind, it's only my wife's laugh. Right then, I will have your bags tended to." Bernard struck a bell. The ring echoed for a bit as Bernard, Wellington, and Eliza stared at each other. Bernard struck the bell again. Again, they stood there, in awkward silence. With a huff and a shake of his head, he turned to the wall behind him, lifted up a panel, and pressed firmly the large red button labeled in block "Full Start," which did nothing to change the return of the awkward silence. "Miguel!" Bernard bellowed. An automaton, dressed in white waiter's uniform buttoned up tight to his throat, chugged and whirred out from the back, the face etched into the metal, seemingly frozen in surprise or confusion, perhaps both. His illuminated eyes darted side to side as if he were a rabbit and the humans foxes who had surprised him. "Miguel," Bernard said, continuing to fill out the paperwork for Wellington and Eliza. "Take these suitcases to the top floor, room 2. The automaton looked at Wellington and Eliza, flinched for looking back to Bernard, stepping back into a half-crouch. "'Kay?" Bernard stopped writing and looked up with a glare that even made Eliza tense beside him. "Toma el burros el espacio dos." Miguel's head spun completely round its pivot point before he shrugged. "No, eso es imposible. No puedo hacer esto." Bernard straightened. "What?" "Burro es—" Miguel paused, and then played the recording of a donkey braying angrily. "For the love of God," Eliza whispered. "Miguel," she began, her accent flawless as she said, "Por favor, podrías llevar nuestras maletas a la habitación 2. Miguel's eyes blinked happily. "Ah, tú hablas español." Un poco, Eliza replied sweetly. No, tú hablas, estoy muy bien. Gracias. Miguel chugged and puffed cheerily over their suitcases, picked them up, and proceeded to the vertical conveyor belt that lifted him into the higher floors of the hotel. "I don't know why you bought that silly machine, Bernard," chided Sylvia, still engrossed in her publication. "Because, my dear, you are not aware, nor care to make us aware of the sciences. That particular model is in a constant state of learning. The more we order it about, the smarter it gets." "That particular model is a prototype and originally slated for a hotel in Barcelona," She looked up from one of her reading and returned Bernard's perpetual glares to one of her own. You got it cheap because the hotel who ordered it went bankrupt. Well, never you mind, said, and Bernard's disdain turned on Eliza. Perhaps the colonial here and her multilingual talents can fix Miguel's processes and reset him to speak proper English, yes? Eliza had reached her fill. Now look here, mate. We are rather tired and would like to retire for the afternoon. Wellington interjected. Freshen up a bit as well. I assume dinner's at 6? Quite, Bernard said, slapping a single room key on the desk. He plastered across his face a fake smile and bowed slightly to said, Enjoy your stay at Imperial Turrets. Wellington dared to take a step closer to the desk. He snatched the key quickly and grabbed Eliza. It was not so much to protect her from the hotel's purveyor's ire, but to protect him from his protege's wrath. He led Eliza to the stairs and pulled her close as they ascended in silence. Whew, that's tough. I haven't read this story in a long time, chat. You ready to tag team?
Yeah.
All right, here we go.
Tag in.
Tag in. Tag in. Okay.
When do I tag out?
You tag out at the break.
Okay.
You tag out at the break.
To the break.
To the break. To the break, chat. There you go.
Tu hablas español. Should let me do that. Would have been good practice
Yeah,
for
it would
me.
have been good practice. It would have been real good practice.
No, this headset's a bit big for me. Okay.
Well, the only reason you're even listening to that is just in case someone else makes a donation. You'll hear a chime, and
Okay.
You'll see it. Okay. Remember.
So I don't have to listen to the
Your audience is there.
what? This music is still going,
Yeah, it's still going.
and I'm going to read over it.
Yeah. It'll be fine.
It'll be fine. Okay. Oh, I do get a bit of Spanish. That's good.
Yeah, there you
Sí, sí, Miguel insisted. It's your room. No good deed goes unpunished, Eliza seethed as she looked at their delightful room, with only one bed between them. What was it about her and Wally always going undercover and finding hotels that apparently had only rooms with one bed available? It was as if hotel managers everywhere were conspiring to get the two of them knocking boots. She glanced sideways at Wellington. Not that that would be a bad thing. Quickly she shook the thought free of her mind. Her mind wandering to idle thoughts like that was an indication she needed to clock in some field time, sharpen her skills, stop nurturing outlandish fantasies involving her mentor. I will take the couch this time, Welly. Tosh, he returned, waving his hand dismissively. I insist you take the bed. Now she wished she did not find that chivalrous streak in him so charming. Nonsense. I have taken the bed the last 3 times, and in all the previous cases I've heard you whinging about your back. Wellington started to protest, but Eliza held up a finger. You are taking the bed this time. Wellington, after a moment's pause, he held up his hands in surrender. Excellent. She preferred it when he did as told. Bless him. He took a seat on the edge of the suite's bed and flinched. Wellington looked to either side of him, pressed once, then twice, and pursed his lips, as his eyes darted to the tiny window opposite of them. Are you quite sure you wouldn't want the bed? Welly, Eliza warned. What? Before she could get out the words up to, she took a seat on the somewhat worn chaise lounge she would have been using as her bed for their stay. No, Wellington, I assure you you're making out quite well with that bed. Her eyes glanced out of a similar narrow window opposite her, offering an inch or so view of the ocean in the distance. Seaside view, technically, Eliza muttered. Hardly the sort of place for the upper classes to holiday, Wellington added, casting a weary glance to each corner. Do you think, Wellington, if this place did indeed have listening devices of any kind, I would think cheap. Not wireless or ether technology. She considered the small painting depicting a farm scene, possibly costing the detestable man downstairs a halfpenny from whatever street-side artist he bought it from. I mean, cheap. Portrait of a dead relative where you stand behind it, remove the eyes and spy on the guests. You can't be serious, Wellington scoffed. You did meet the purveyor here, yes? Wellington paused. Right, yes, I see it now. He glanced at the end table by their bed. He may have invested his saving in this rather advanced-looking call system. Eliza glanced at what Wellington was touching. Set into the chipped wooden surface of the table was a small set of buttons. 3 of them, to be precise. He pressed the white one and waited for a few seconds. Another press, this time longer, and he waited. Nothing. I'd be shocked if they worked, Eliza grumbled, rubbing her forehead. It was here where Turk said the trail stopped. This sorry excuse for a bed and breakfast. Police found the victim ripped to pieces on the seashore, Wellington said, pulling the dossier from his suitcase. He flipped through the notes. The murder was similar to a series of killings outside of Manchester. That was what had attracted Agent Turkingdale's attention. Pockets of horrific mutilations, all occurring in villages outside of larger cities, that would suddenly end. Did he believe it to be the work of a single killer? Agent Turkingdale had initially thought so, but there was a series of deaths in Cheltenham at the same time. Bodies turned up in a small village up north. Where exactly? Wellington squinted his eyes. Yes, Turk's handwriting was truly appalling. Some place called Bagger's End? Eliza shuddered. I'm surprised Turk even bothered to draw a correlation. Word on the street is people drop like flies in midsummer. What caught Agent Turkingdale's eyes on the date? Both murder sprees ended at the same time. The killings appeared coordinated. The trail ends here? Eliza asked herself. What is so unique about Imperial turrets? The door knocked, making both of them stop cold in their conversation. Eliza gave a nod to Wellington, and he crossed silently to the door. Yes? Housekeeping, a female voice replied. Wellington's body relaxed slightly, which made Eliza only more alert. Her hand slipped underneath her waistcoat, where she had a small pistol holstered. Her new partner, a term she still considered rather loose, was far too trusting. The door opened to reveal a young woman, blonde with delightful rosy cheeks. She was not pretending to be cheery or happy in her work. As a matter of fact, she looked cross. The maid was also tugging lightly on her collar. You rang for service? She asked. Oh, is that what that button is for? Wellington went wide-eyed, looking rather dim and easily impressed. His propensity towards acting, Eliza admitted, was quite apt. I thought Miguel would appear. Didn't realize this hotel was staffed with corporeal beings as well. Very corporeal, yes, the girl returned, still itching at her neck. 1 ring will suffice in the future, thank you very much. Very well. So you called for service? Is your room in order? Most satisfactory, yes. I take it dinner is in half an hour. Will you be joining us? Table for 2, please. The maid curtsied and disappeared down the hallway. I just heard another noise.
Did you hear John?
It's the Iron Man noise.
Oh, that's a follow.
Hey,
That's
thanks
a follow.
For the follow.
That was Spoon of Truth with a follow. Thank you
Spoon
very
of
much.
Truth. Thank you. I stand corrected, Eliza said as the door shut. I guess some things do work around here. Perhaps that is what makes this place so unique. It's a guessing game what will and won't work. Wellington gathered up the file from the bed and slipped it back into his suitcase. Perhaps we should head down for dinner. You can tell a lot about an establishment by who is staying there. Bon, she said. Let us not dally, tempting as this... She pressed against the mattress and her mouth twisted into a grimace. Well, I dare not call this a bed, as that would be an insult to beds everywhere. Follow me, books. Eliza waited for him on the landing, taking his arm as they descended the stairs together, presenting a united front. Wellington straightened his waistcoat and adjusted the chain stretching across his vest as they emerged into the now quiet lobby. That bizarre laugh of Sylvia Sunder echoed from a room behind the front desk. Must be the parlour, Wellington said, craning his neck. Drinks before dinner? Rather festive, considering the surroundings. Yes, quite, Eliza said as she crossed to the front desk and slid the registrar towards her. Most fortuitous. As she began to scan the pages, Wellington kept an eye on the parlour door. "Any names you recognise?" he asked over his shoulder. No, but who uses their actual name in one of these things? A lot of cover assignations in this hellhole of the purely sexual nature, I would think. "Mind you," she said, running her finger down the ledger, "there are an awful lot of guests here this weekend, especially for this place in off-season." "You mean for a place of this calibre, don't you?" She chuckled. "In fact," she said as she checked the previous page, "it looks as if we snatched up the last room." Eliza leaned in. Were her eyes playing tricks on her? "Bugger me. Miss Braun, please." "I'm only noticing," she shook her head. "Even out here, if you wanted to keep a tryst secret." "What?" "Titles." And Eliza flipped the page back and slid the ledger to him. Wellington looked the pages up and down and adjusted his spectacles as he continued to look at the names. He craned his neck to one side as his eyebrows raised slightly. "I'll be buggered too," he whispered. "May I help you?" came a voice from behind them. It was the hotel maid who had visited them earlier. She was considering the two of them carefully. Eliza wished she had worn her Punamu pistols, but as she was still in trousers, wearing heavy firepower would have raised eyebrows. It would have to be close quarters combat, provided this girl did not have a gun on her. Hard to tell presently. We were," Wellington began, "looking for a copy of the menu for dinner." Her expression never changed. "In the hotel ledger?" Eliza held up her hands and slowly took a step forward. "I know this may look a bit odd." The maid countered with a step back. "A bit, yes." "We're curious as to whom we are sharing accommodations with." Eliza took another step forward, and nearly lost her balance on hearing Sylvia Sunder's grating cackle laugh. "Odds bodkins," Eliza seethed. "That woman!" The girl cocked her head to one side. "Wait, you're not with the gathering?" As much as Dr. Sound hated snap decisions in the field, this was one of those times. It would either mean the next step forward in this cold case investigation, or a hasty retreat from Imperial turrets. A victory from any perspective. "What gathering?" Eliza asked. The woman cast a quick glance to the parlour and beckoned both Eliza and Wellington to follow her. Finally taking in a breath, Eliza followed the maid, confident that wherever they were being led, it would certainly not be a trap, seeing as Sylvia was entertaining, or something along those lines, in the parlour. They followed her into the kitchen, and from the smells and sights of what promised to be a fine dinner. It was the maid who spoke first. "Are you with the local authorities, or are you private agents?" "Bit of both," Eliza offered. "Then it is a good thing I found you snooping." Her face went completely white in shock. "You don't know what they might do." "Who are they?" "And more to the point," Wellington interjected, "who are you?" "My name's Molly," she said. "You could call me a jack of all trades around here." She's being modest, our girl here," the cook chortled. "If it weren't for Molly, this place would fall apart at the seams." Molly offered the chef a crooked smile. How Gordon can keep a sense of humour with what happens here, I will never know. "You have us at a loss, dear," Eliza asked. "What does happen here?" Molly looked over her shoulder to Gordon, who gave her a nod, and she stepped forward and inclined her head back. The choker she wore from a distance looked hardly out of the ordinary until Eliza noticed the fabric appeared to be moving. Wellington leaned in even closer, and her mouth twisted into a frown as she noted Wellington, completely oblivious to Molly's flinch. "Well now," he whispered, adjusting his spectacles. "Aren't you fascinating?" "Personal space, Welly," Eliza spoke softly. "It's something of a trend." "What?" He looked at Molly. He cleared his throat and backed away. Yes, quite." "The gears blend so well with the fabric, you honestly don't notice them unless you stare at the choker, and even then, it appears as if there's a pattern in the fabric catching the light." Wellington motioned with his head to the cameo at Molly's throat. "I assume that's its power supply." "Yes," Molly said. "Body heat charges the battery." Biomechanic, Wellington said, impressed. Bioelectric, rather, Gordon chimed in. At least that's what Molly's been going on about. When the cock had offered his own thoughts, Eliza noticed his bow tie was of the same fashion as Molly's choker. Makes sense, Eliza thought. Men wouldn't wear chokers. We're not the only ones wearing these obedience collars, Molly stated. Eliza blinked. Obedience collars? It's perfectly horrid what they are doing to those poor people, and I simply can't leave things like they are. Not anymore. Wellington cleared his throat. Pardon? But which poor people are we speaking of? Molly frowned most charmingly. Why, the guest servants, or have you not noticed? Chokers and bow ties, a lot of them, all answering to their masters' and mistresses' bidding. These toff come here every year, bringing their valets and ladies' maids with them. All of us in their keeping, she said, tapping her cameo, doing what our owners say. The idea of such a disgusting practice in this day and age made Eliza's stomach flip over. You're saying you're slaves here, and that the Sunders are your keepers? Molly nodded, making her little maid's hat flip back and forth. Soon as they perfect these collars, and that is what they are here for, they intend to make them available to anyone with money. Right-o, and Eliza thrust her arm out. The knife's handle felt good in the palm of her hand. Let's get that collar off you, love. Molly stepped back, her hand going to her throat. Even Gordon stepped away from the stove and covered his neck. You can't. Eliza's knife lowered. Gordon let out a huge sigh as his hand came down in time with Molly's. These devices are powered bioelectrically, remember? They are fastened in such a manner that if they got removed from our skin, they release a lethal charge. I thought those Sunder people were awful enough, but this, Eliza said, her skin prickling with rage. Interesting, Wellington muttered. Eliza looked over to him. I'm sorry? Well, if you recall, Bernard Sunder had a master switch for Miguel, and there was that call system in our room. The red button calls Miguel, blue is Gordon, white is me. She winced as she rubbed her neck. I assure you that system is most efficient. There you have it, Wellington said. Bernard Sunder has them tethered to a remote. So there should be some sort of off switch in here. For Imperial turret staff, perhaps, Wellington surmised. For the other guests and their attendants. Slaves, Eliza seethed. A different frequency controls each one, or at least they should be. I'm not sure, Molly said, pressing her lips together. I know that all of them have control devices of some kind. I caught a glimpse of something that Lord Agnew had in his pocket. It was about the size of his palm and gold-coloured. Luckily for you, Wellington said, straightening his waistcoat, my partner and I are adept at securing objects from unwitting subjects. It was something of a delight watching this archivist embrace the field agent's bravado. It suits him, Eliza thought whimsically. Molly's lips twitched into a smile. Do you think you could? We'll have you lot freed in no time, Eliza chimed in, always looking out for a moment to cause chaos. She flexed her fingers. I'll need a distraction. And I can provide one, Wellington said, going to the door. Let's not dilly-dally. You stay here, Molly. Wouldn't want you to get into trouble with your employer. He looks rather explosive. Eliza and Wellington exchanged a look. This hotel was, without question, an odd assortment of circumstances. The unassuming Molly seemed to be something of a small corner of insanity within this loony bin. A breath of fresh air, really. As they returned to the lobby, the parlour now sounding quite busy, Eliza turned to Wellington. Right then, a plan? You distract, I procure, Wellington said, cracking his knuckles. All I need is one of those devices. As you said, Eliza said, taking his arm. Let's not dilly-dally. Swapsies.
Swapping. Tagging out.
Check out the chat. I wasn't reading the chat, so.
That's okay. That's okay.
I'm going to get a drink too, bro.
All right. Okay, chat, we are back. No problem, Unicorn. Thanks. Thanks, buddy. Hey, Pie. Good to see you. Good to see you. Glad you all are enjoying the story. So basically, Pie, if you're curious as to what Pip and I are doing, we are reading. We're doing a celebratory reading because we actually hit. Oh wow! And somebody subbed. Somebody also subbed. So
Sorry, I missed that.
yeah. Pie, this is the exclusive short story that we wrote for the print edition of the Books and Brawn dossier. This is a short story called "The Fault in Our Stars." Fault is spelled Fawlt. This is our steampunk love letter to Faulty Towers, and and this is I'm just checking real quick. This is the this is the end. This is the end. This is Act 3. So here we go. A surge of confidence overtook Wellington when Miss Braun took his arm. Perhaps he would never admit it to himself, and most certainly not to her, that a part of him enjoyed this intrigue. A giant awoke in the summer when he got thrown into the matter with the Phoenix Society. He was reminded of the fine dinner amidst other brothers and sisters of the now defunct nefarious secret order, and once more he found himself mingling with another shadow society. This particular group, enjoying the cocktails of Bernard Sunder, now manning the bar, was wealthy enough to afford any number of posh hotels closer to the water, and yet here they were. For a moment, he was rather worried he would go blind from all the jewelry on display. He glanced to his wide-eyed partner. She, too, appeared rather taken aback. It seemed a good portion of the upper crust of London descended on the Imperial Turrets Hotel for the weekend. They made their way to the bar, where they found an inebriated Mrs. Sunder, draped over a comely young man dressed in the fashion of a valet. His collar buttoned high in somewhat old-fashioned style, though. His face was handsome enough, but concealed mostly by a fine ginger beard and sideburns. Wellington positively identified at least 4 peers of the realm and 2 captains of industry. This was most certainly not the sort of place that these class of people should have been staying. Bernard made eye contact with the 2 of them, and his grin faltered. "What are you doing here?" he asked them through a completely superficial smile. "Staying at your hotel, apparently," Eliza quipped, "and now drinking your booze." His glare... "Oh, a glass of Scotch neat and a sherry, if you please," Wellington asked. His glare silently ordered them to disappear from existence, but still he served Eliza her sherry while Wellington took a single malt. Eliza's eyes raked over the surrounding patrons. It wasn't only the wealthy and well-to-do, Wellington noted, but also a good amount of servants. Their hang-dog expressions as they hung in the darker parts of the bar were in stark contrast to the aristocrats they served. Wellington looked around them. Eliza needed to offer up a distraction. The question is, what exactly? He took a sip of his drink and winced. "Is there a problem?" Bernard asked from behind the bar. The words tumbled out of his mouth. "No, if you don't mind watered-down Scotch." It was as if someone threw a switch and cut off all conversation. Bernard was about to explode. He was sure of it. "I beg your pardon?" Wellington looked back at his drink, then to Bernard, then back to his drink, then back to Bernard. Dashed it all with his impulsive words. "Oh, nothing. Are you insinuating I watered down my Scotch?" "Well, watered down may have been a rather strong... I will have you know, I keep this bar stocked with only the finest spirits from all around the world." "I'm sure you do," Wellington insisted. "But it's only that I will not stand here and get insulted by someone of your lot, mate." "Well, actually, Sunder," an elder gentleman began, lifting his own Scotch, "my single malt is a bit bland." "And I asked for ice in mine," another lord said, lifting up his own glass. "It's practically favourless right now." "Right then, ye bloody snobs!" Bernard bellowed as he slammed a sturdy glasses before him. He continued to fill it with Scotch as he trumpeted, "When I say I keep this bar stocked, I'll show you lot. My staff makes certain these spirits are always amply full. If a bottle goes low, my people are always sure it is full again. Water down, I'll show you." Bernard picked up the tumbler, now filled to the rim with Scotch. He passed it under his nose with an exaggerated sniff and proceeded to kick it back. In 5 consecutive gulps, the Scotch disappeared, the tumbler striking the bar with a sharp bang. He stood there for a moment, before pressing down a white button. Wellington could hear the screams of Molly as she came running into the parlor, her hand clasped on the side of her neck until Bernard released the button. "Molly," he began, "who was in charge of restocking the spirits?" "Well, actually," and Molly hesitated. "Yes, it was my fault. Miguel!" he screamed, tearing out from behind the bar. "What have you done to my bar?" "One moment, Mr. Sunder," Molly called out, making chase. Wellington shared a few glances with the others, but the silence soon yielded to resumed discussions of politics, the state of the Empire, and Sunder's odd, if not entertaining, behavior. His eyes were now darting about the room as he set his barely touched scotch, coming to rest on Eliza in the doorway, motioning with her head to follow her. "Excellent distraction," Eliza said, holding up a small gold box before her. "Managed to pick this for the toff considering his own drink. Let's get these people free." She passed it to Wellington and checked the watch tucked in her waistcoat pocket. "Do this fast, and you and I can head back to London on the last train. I would rather not have to spend another night in this awful hotel." "I'm in more than agreement with you on that, Miss Braun," Wellington said, turning the control device in his hands. "I need to pry this one." Eliza produced the knife seemingly from thin air, and with a quick flash of the blade catching the light, the back of the control device popped open. And that's almond milk with the host. Thank you for that. Thank you for that so much. Thank you, Miss Braun. He looked at the wiring for a moment, his fingertips tracing connections between leads. "I have a theory that," Wellington muttered to himself as he pinched a red wire between his finger and thumb and pulled. "If I send out a signal strong enough, it will overload all the other remotes. That should sever the connection between callers and masters." He pulled the blue wire clear and twisted their exposed tips together, which he plugged back into where the red wire originally led to. "So how do we test this theory?" asked Eliza. "Like this?" And Wellington pressed the little brown button at the top of the device. The low hum slowly ascended in pitch. Higher, higher, and high enough that both he and Eliza inclined their heads away from the box. A succession of pops, followed by screams from the parlor, before the device in Wellington's hand shorted out with a sharp bang and a shower of sparks. For a moment, nothing appeared to have changed. Then, a single solitary howl came from upstairs. Eliza's eyes locked with his. "Surely not," she gasped out. "It can't be." Both of them sprinted back to the doorway of the parlor and froze. Their eyes widened on what they had accomplished. Yes, the unfortunate servants were free, their control collars hanging about their necks. Hands went up to chokers and bow ties and tore them away from their skin, but not with sighs of relief. One by one, the indentured servants cried out with howls. Actual lupine howls. An elder woman, Wellington recognized as Lady Annabel Windermere, let out a sharp scream as her valet undertook a terrible transformation in front of everyone. Long, hairy snouts pushed out of their faces, teeth extending into fangs, and body hair growing rapidly into coarse, thick fur covering his body. Underneath the quick-forming coat, muscles rippled and swelled, threatening to tear through the man's skin. Wellington quickly looked at a maid at the back of the room, the butler by Lord Hertfordshire, and finally the handsome valet that Sylvia Sunder was attempting to flirt with. All their eyes had transformed to bright amber color. "That's not..." Wellington swallowed and glanced at Eliza. "The servants?" "Yes," she said, squeezing his elbow. "The servants are werewolves." Neither of them lingered to watch for a mad rush for the exits by sudden fleet-footed aristocrats. With their collars removed, now there would be a reckoning. Wellington and Eliza were about to head back to their room to shelter in place when the towering frame of Bernard Sunder burst out of the stairwell. He reared back his left fist high in the air, but his awkward punch became a pointed finger. "What did you do?" "What?" Wellington asked. "What makes you think—" "Don't give me that, you git!" Bernard was now coming completely unhinged as his fist balled up even tighter. "You were not here with the with the CSB, so you have to be responsible for all this." "The CSB?" Eliza asked. "Yes, the Circle of the Silver Bullet," Bernard insisted. You're not part of the circle, so as a simple deduction, you're responsible for all this, he bellowed, gesturing madly at the pandemonium unfolding around them. A wolf the size of a small motor car burst from the parlor, his roar so powerful that two high ladies toppled to the floor. The beast growls stopped abruptly as it sank its fangs into one of the women, her own screams also abruptly stopping. Get to the kitchen, Eliza said, grabbing Bernard by the lapels. Now! Dodging both hotel guests and lycanthropes, the three pushed through the chaos to reach a tenuous, at best, safety in the kitchen. Gordon must have left dinner in progress to join the carnage. Righto, Eliza said, tossing Bernard against the sink. Talk! I'm a member of a secret society, Bernard said, in between catching his breath, dedicated to keeping the werewolf population of England in check. We are everywhere, Yorkshire, the Lake District, Plymouth, and it is our job, as sanctioned by the Queen herself, to make these flea-riddled mutts not overtake the countryside. Wellington shook his head. Just a moment. As an agent of our ministry followed a rash of murders to this hotel, you're telling us werewolves are responsible. Wait. Turkington. He's one of your men? You know him? I told that bastard to keep his mouth shut! He did, that's why we're here. Dear God, we're all dead! Eliza joined in the screaming. Well, we wouldn't be in this mess if you and Turk had a bit more forthcoming about the Circle of the Silver Bullet and what it was all about, now would we? Something about Eliza's faulty reasoning sobered up Bernard as he went still and looked at them both as if for the first time. Oh, I see. So all this time, instead of holding you responsible for unleashing the lycanthrope apocalypse on us all, it was my fault the whole time, not telling your man about a secret society that Her Majesty had decreed be kept secret. So this had been my fault this whole time. It's so clear. Well, I should be punished, shouldn't I? His right hand reared up and began spanking his own backside as he chided, You're a naughty boy, Bernard! Get a hold of yourself, man! Eliza bellowed over Bernard's self-flagellation. You must have a contingency plan for this, Wellington insisted. If the collars failed, there has to be a redundancy, yes? His hand froze in midair, and an idea abruptly came to him. Right! We've got to find Miguel! Miguel? He can emit a frequency that can stun the werewolves. We have to activate the signal before any of these beasties escape. Wellington snapped his fingers. Our room. We can call for Miguel from our room. Servants' access. Servants' access, Eliza pointing to the narrow stairwell on the opposite end of the kitchen. She took 2 steps forward, turning on Bernard. Wait a moment. What about your wife? Believe me, I'm more worried about what she will do to the werewolves than vice versa. And with that, Bernard spun Eliza about and pushed her up to the stairs. Now, come on! Sparky's getting a lot of these jokes. Wellington struggled to keep breathing calm as his lightning-quick assessment of the stairwell and its narrow confines brought every survival instinct to high alert. He could feel the itch to tap into those talents Eliza had peacefully slumbered through when all hell broke loose on the Havelock estate, but he reserved that option for his contingency plan. The 3 of them emerged on the top floor, and Wellington shoved past them with the key in hand. Gunfire snapped one level below them, both pistols and shotguns. He pressed the red button repeatedly while Eliza flipped over her own suitcase. Come on, Miguel, Wellington whispered. He looked to his partner. Any chance you have silver bullets on you? Back home, safely tucked away, she said, flipping up a panel and producing her gun belt. But my lads here will give them something to think about. Eliza pulled out a crack shot, gave the stock a quick flick to check its barrels, and snapped it shut with another jerk of her arm. This should make them heal. No wonder your bag was so bloody heavy, Wellington said. A knock at their door, and the crack shot came up. Hello? Came a synthetic voice from the other side. Is Miguel, you call? Bernard nearly tore the door off its hinges. He yanked the automaton into the room and said to clenched teeth, Miguel, initiate bad dog sequence. The automaton looked at Wellington and Eliza, flinched, then looked back to Bernard, stepping back into a half-crouch. Okay? Oh, dear God, Miguel. He took a deep breath and said without stammer or pause, Insignia e perro malo. Miguel's eyes flashed quickly. Si, he replied as he stepped back. The top of his head split open, and from his open cranium, an intricate antenna extended. Its metallic array looked delicate, as a spider's web. the lights set within its many branches were repeatedly blinking rapidly. They continued to blink and flicker in sequence until Miguel's eyes went from a quick blinking amber to a steady red. The multicolored lights in his antennae also flared red. "There," Bernard said, pointing to the automaton. "The signal is being sent." Wellington shook his head. "I don't hear anything." "Of course you don't, you cloth-eared git!" snapped Bernard. "You're not a dog, are you? It's a hypersonic signal." "How did you do that?" Eliza asked. "Do what?" "Rattle off Spanish as if you were born there." "I learned classical Spanish, not that strange dialect he got programmed with," Bernard returned. "Now, back downstairs. We need to sort out this mess you two idiots hath wrought." Wellington looked back to Eliza, who was grasping the crack shot in her hands. She was tapping the side of the stock with her trigger finger. She was holding the urge back. He could see it. The twitch in her left eye was also a bit of a tell. They stepped into the lobby and nearly collided with Bernard Sunder. He was standing stock still. Behind the front desk stood Molly and Gordon. Molly turned towards them, and that was when Wellington caught sight in her grasp a large wad of cotton. I'm afraid, Molly shouted. "I was only able to take care of myself and Gordon before the others were immobilized. I thought Mr. Sunder would activate the failsafe when I saw Miguel scuttle past me." "Burn it!" came a shrill, shrewish cry. A blood-soaked Sylvia Sunder burst from the parlor, a pistol in her hand. "This is the last time I have you manage reservations on the Circle's weekend." Gordon snarled as he leapt for Sylvia. She fired off a round that struck him in the shoulder, but the gunshot did nothing to stop him from landing on top of her. The two of them tumbled back into the parlor. Another shot rang out. "Now that I have your attention, Mr. Sunder," Molly said, stepping out from behind the front desk, her skin darkening with fur on each step, "I would like to tender my resignation." While transformation to wolf form looked like sheer agony from the valets and maids they had seen tonight, Molly looked aroused by the change from human to wolf. Even after she landed against the floor on all fours, her transmuted face still managed to smile. "Now look here, Molly," Bernard began. "I've been rather good to you. Think of the skills you have picked up while working here." Molly's bark rolled into a snarl that settled into a low, rumbling growl. "Molly," Bernard continued in a somewhat defiant manner, "you had better reconsider this if you want a positive reference for future employers." This story was fun to write, wasn't it? The hell beast leapt for Bernard Sunder, but even with her newfound power and advanced musculature, Molly could not anticipate the sprinting agility of her long-legged prey. Neither of them paid any attention to Wellington or Eliza as they ran out into the dusk now falling over Torquay. It was impossible to tell if Molly was playing with her potential food or if Sunder just had that incredible of a stride. "You will rue the day!" Sunder shouted over his shoulder, still managing to shake his fist while maintaining a lead. "You dozy bint!" "What do we do, Miss Braun?" Wellington asked as they stood in their sudden silence on the Torquay. She pursed her lips and looked back to the hotel. "Well, the enslaved are indeed set free. There's a certain rightness to that. I don't know what to make of any of this." "What? You mean of the supernatural?" Wellington spluttered. "Aren't we supposed to stop them rampaging about?" "I suppose we could call in for a little more help. The Ministry's Animal Control Unit is based in Plymouth. They should be able to get here in an hour or two, depending on traffic. Plenty of time to collect and catalog our werewolves." "And what about—" And Wellington motioned to the diminishing figures of Molly and Bernard, who were now weaving left and right across the open field. Eliza watched him for a moment. It was amazing how Sunder's voice carried, even at this distance. Wellington narrowed his gaze. "Sometimes I do worry about your sense of justice, Miss Braun." She shrugged. "Oh, now, Welly, you've met Sylvia Sunder. Do you really think we're doing Bernard there any favors in rescuing him?" His mouth opened, but he paused. "All right, I see your point there. So," Eliza jerked her head back towards the hotel. "Shall we pack while we wait for the Plymouth branch?" Not pausing for his answer, she strolled back into the now empty bar. As Molly's howls echoed in the hills of Torquay, it wasn't like Wellington had much of a choice in the matter. He followed after her, wondering how on earth he would file this particular cold case. He also wondered if the Sunders managed to survive the evening, would they continue disappointing visitors in the area? The only certainty he did take from this experience, Imperial turrets would not be receiving a recommendation from him. Bernard Sunder had made some choices in his life, he had no doubt. But hotel management was not the wisest. It just didn't suit him. Maybe Eliza was right. Maybe they were doing him a favor. Poor bastard. And there you go.
I'm reminded how much fun that was to write.
That was a fun story for us to write. That's our little love letter to Faulty Towers. And again, it's only available in the print edition of this. Which thank you, Pi. Thank you so much, Pi. We actually need to do a nip tuck on this edition. We need to put a table of contents in there. We promised ourselves we would do that, so that's one of the things that we got going on there. Telpre, thank you everybody. Thank you everybody for I mean, we've made $600 tonight. We helped produce 6,000 meals for kids. We have produced 6,000 meals. So yeah, I'm pretty happy with that. I'm pretty happy with that. I'm glad you like the show. I'm glad you like the story, Sparky. I totally forgot. We actually gave a little nod to Midsummer Murders. I totally forgot that nod. Forgot that nod. When we wrote that story, we were on this. No, thank you, Unicorn. Thank you very much. Thanks everybody. We were on a Midsummer Murders kick. So yeah, we had to get a quick nod in there about Midsummer. So yeah, so that is that's our first ever milestone, everybody. That's our first milestone. The next milestone, in case you're wondering, let me go on ahead and pull that up. The next milestone is that at $1,000, after we raise $1,000, I let chat choose a subclass for me. No matter what the day, I let chat choose the subclass that I play. So you go on ahead and you vote, and you not only tell me what subclass to play, you tell me what I'm playing. You know, am I going to do Crucible? Am I going to do something else? You guys choose that at $1,000. So that's where we're at. And thank you, everybody. Thank you all very, very much for getting us to $600. In my opinion, the fact that we even met the first the first milestone, to me, that's awesome. It's just awesome. And I'm telling you, I couldn't be happier. Could not be happier. Thank you all for making this happen. Thank you all for making this happen. On behalf of No Kid Hungry, thank you all. This is pretty amazing. So let's go on ahead and let's bring tonight's stream to a close, and we're gonna do that by but we're gonna go find somebody to raid. Let's see here. There we go. All right, so let's take a look. Jeez. Whoops. Oh, that's a different thing. That's a Twitch clip. Let's see here. Yeah, I have to do this old school, because if I try to raid using the new raid tool that Twitch designed, unfortunately, it doesn't show me everybody that's on right now. Oh, look at that. D is on. Oh, that'd be great. Yeah, let's go on. Let's well, thanks everybody. Just everybody sit tight now. We're going to go send the love to BBXH. She's good people. She's great people, actually. And yes, normal time tomorrow, 6 a.m. We are gonna go and we're gonna play some Destiny. But thank you everybody for all the money that was raised tonight. thank you very much for hanging out with us. We really had we've had a great time tonight. You all have made a huge difference. I'm really proud of you all. Let's game some more tomorrow morning, bright and early, 6 a.m. Until then, take care of yourselves. Peace.
Bye.